Testing. Blah, 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 blah.
Ready, set, go.
It's time for the Coach Amy and Coach Liz show.
A podcast for endurance athletes by 2 athletes, 2 coaches, and a physical therapist.
We are your hosts, Coach Amy
And Coach Liz.
coming to you from
Kansas City.
Okay, Liz, so I have a question. Right now here in our outdoor pools have just opened, okay? And we're starting to do some open water swims out on our lakes and bodies of water. And those are cold right now. And my question for you is, how do athletes adapt to, what are some recommendations or tips that you have for adapting to that cold weather? Cold water. Because when I first started, all I wanted to do was just suck in air immediately and go like that.
Yeah.
Just, it's so cold.
Yeah. That's a problem. So, the cold water actually does make people hyperventilate. And so you want to, plan for that when you're going in the cold water. And there are some things that I'll have athletes do if they're going to be going into a race where they're going to be dealing with cold water and they don't necessarily have access to cold water prior to a race.
To practice.
So, the first thing when, you are going to be getting into a body of water is to mentally expect that you're going to have a reaction if the water is really cold, so that it doesn't catch you by surprise, because that's going to make it worse. And then you need to kind of have a plan for how you get in that water. So usually what we'll do is mark out a couple steps where you first need to submerge yourself to your shoulders, because you're going to have a different reaction for the lower half of your body versus when your face hits the cold water. And when the face hits the cold water, that's usually when things really when the panic starts to set, right? Yeah. So getting in and going and submerging to your shoulders, and just kind of adjusting and then checking in with your breath. So you're, the whole time you're doing this, you're checking in with your breath, because that's what you're trying to manage. And as long as your breath is okay, you can continue on what you're doing. So you submerge to the shoulders, you take a few deep breaths, you kind of make sure that you have control of your breath, that you can move, that you're feeling okay. And then you just sort of start to put your face in. You don't put your whole head in yet. You put your face in, you come back up and take a breath, you put your face in. That's the next step to kind of say, okay, so your brain knows this is what it's going to feel like. We can still breathe. And then you're still standing. You are not out where you can't, where you don't have control over what you're doing, right? You don't want to go out to the middle of the lake and do this, which people do. You need to be in a place where you're safe so you can focus on your breathing. And then when you're ready, you're going to go ahead and submerge your head briefly and then come back up, and you're going to regroup, right? And then you're going to do that again. And so it's almost like that bobbing motion where you go down and then you come back up. And what you're doing is managing your acclimation to the water, but you're also doing it at a pace where your breath is staying with you.
Yeah.
Because if you get in there and you don't expect it to feel like that, and then you submerge your head and the breath and the cold water takes your breath away, and then you start swimming, so then you're exercising and you're out of breath more, and you're holding your breath because you're swimming. Yeah. I mean, it just can really implode quickly. So you need to have a plan. You need to expect that it's going to be cold, and you need to go slowly. If I have an athlete that's going to go do a race and they can't practice that beforehand, we'll practice that in the pool, even though the pool isn't as cold, just so that you are used to going through the steps. You need to practice it before you get to the race site, even if the water temperature is not the same. But I've had athletes actually fill up their sink with ice water.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
A bowl.
A bowl. And then you practice that, and you get, just because it's such a shock, and then you can do a lot of good visualization and practice. It's not the same, but at least then you've had the feeling of that ice cold water before it hits your face, especially in a race.
It really helped me. And I don't know, maybe I'm the same as everyone, and everyone else is just better at it than me, but even when I put on my heart rate monitor to ride my bike, okay, initial contact with that wet thing, oh my God. So it's torture. And so now,
if I had made an invention, I would do a heart rate strap warmer. That is the worst.
Oh my God. But you get over it, and you breathe, and but so, okay, so it's not just me. I did that practice thing with the ice bowl thing, and I don't know where I came up with that, because I didn't read about it. And I was like, maybe this is really torturous. Maybe I won't share that with other people. But I did do it, and it really worked. And it wasn't, of course, obviously you're holding your breath. I practiced blowing bubbles out into it as well.
Yeah.
But just staying calm and relaxing my body as
Yes.
much as possible. And it really did help so much. That and stepping into a shower of cold shower.
Yeah.
That was another thing. It's just get used to it and stay like calming the nervous system while you're doing it.
Which, and I think, you know, in order for you to calm the nervous system, I mean, your body's it's your body's job to protect you, right? And if that cold water is shutting off your breath, like, you're not going to be able to calm anything until you are focused on managing your breath. And that's true of open water panic, you know, or open water discomfort, even if it's not cold.
Yes.
Right?
And
I mean,
that
that's a really...
will cover any whole other podcast, because
Yes.
I think that is super important too.
Yes.
And you have lots of tips for that.
I do.
How have you guys learned to deal with the cold?
Yeah.
The cold open water or the cold swimming pool? Don't do what I do, which is like stand outside the pool and stare at it for like 10 minutes.
I feel like
it's inevitable. You're going to get in.
Oh my gosh. You know, Natalie Coughlin is an Olympic swimmer, and I have a quote by her that says something about like getting in the cold water never gets easier. I mean, it just is.
Oh.
I have had practices where I stood there and stared, and then I just ended up in the hot tub, and I'm like, I cannot. That's top secret information. That is not how we get better at swimming.
It's so funny because I always think about like you all you guys have so much experience, and you especially like years and years and years of swimming before you even did try. I will sit there, I will dip my toe in.
I know.
It's torture. And then I'll ask all the other swimmers in the pool, how's the water today?
Oh my gosh. So if I was going to design a pool, I would start it in a hot tub, and then I would make a lazy river that then like blended you slowly into the cold water, and then you got into the lap pool. That's how much time I've spent thinking about how not to be cold when I get in.
Oh, when you develop that center, let me know.
Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, we are in this together.
Until next time.